Hi everyone. Today I'm going to go over some variations and presentations that you may see while you're administering the SOSI M and the COP-R. I'm going to verbally and visually demonstrate some of the different conditions or ways that would cause the examinee to stop timing or counting. We're going to start with the baseline, item 5, which is heel to toe. So that is going to be with your eyes open and on a firm surface. You're going to administer this twice unless the examinee reaches a maximum of 20 seconds with it on their first attempt. If they need assistance to correctly assume the position, administer the attempt, but do not score that. That score would be a 0 seconds. Then you would administer and score the second attempt. So to fail or to stop the timing before the 20 seconds, the examinee would need to have their feet leave the testing position, or they have ankle strategies that are unsafe. Here are some examples. So if the examinee passes item 5, then you continue on with items 6, 7, and 8, which are all in the heel to toe, but some have the RX foam mat, and then some are with your eyes closed. So for the eyes closed, the ways that they could potentially stop the timing is if they open their eyes. It's the same for the ankle position and strategies and their feet position in terms of when you would stop scoring. If they did not pass item 5, you would go back to items 1 through 4 and administer those. The only difference is instead of it being a heel to toe position, it is feet together position. Here are some examples of what the feet together position could look like for you to stop timing. Items 9 through 12 are standing on one foot. And if they require assistance to assume the position, you would administer the attempt but score the first attempt as a 0 and re-administer for the second attempt. You would start the timing when the examinee assumes the correct position. The examinee, for it to be the correct position, cannot brace the free foot on the weight-bearing foot. You would stop the timing when the weight-bearing foot leaves the testing position, the free foot touches the ground, the free foot wraps around or braces the weight-bearing leg, the examinee opens their eyes, or they do reach the maximum of 20 seconds. The ankle strategies are allowed, but the foot cannot leave from the initial testing position. Here are some examples. Items 13 and 14 are modified postural shoulders arm extension test. So you're going to have the examinee put their hands straight out like this, and then you're going to walk behind them and put your hands over their eyes. So imagine someone is doing that for me. What you're looking for is that their arms stay straight and they don't move as you move their head. Some ways that you could see this happen with them moving their arms is something like this. Or it might even be a little slighter. Item 15 is administered to all examinees 2 times. It'll be a 5-second countdown, and you're looking at how many counts of skipping they do correctly. So a skip is considered a leg flexion, opposite leg hop. That is 1 skip. So ways that you could see this and stop the counting is when the examinee interrupts the skipping sequence, or they're not fluid, or they're out of sequence, like 2 hops on the same foot, or they do reach the 5 seconds. Here's some examples. Items 16 to 18 is a series of jumps. We're starting with item 16, which is jumping jacks. A correct jumping jack is when they clap their hands underneath of their head. At the same time, that their legs are jumping outwards, so away from each other. And then they bring it back, down, feet together, and their hands at their side. That is one sequence. They have a 5-second countdown. You stop counting when the examinee interrupts the jumping sequence. They do not clap their hands above their head, or the movement may be out of sequence, like they are jumping their legs together when their hands go overhead, or they do reach that 5 seconds. Here's some examples. Items 17 and 18 are stride jumps. The only difference is one is symmetrical and one is reciprocal. You have a 5-second countdown, so you start the timing as soon as the sequence begins when the arm and the leg swing forward, and then continue with the arm and the leg swinging forward. That is one count. That is one cycle. You would stop counting if they interrupt the sequence, they jump out of sequence, such as their arms not swinging with the right leg, or they do reach those 5 seconds. Item 19 is high kneeling. So the examiner would show how the examinee should be placed on their knees with their hands straight out in front. Then the examiner is going to move the examinee's hand into about a 45 degrees of shoulder horizontal abduction. What they're going to do is they're going to try to grab the ball. So you're looking at making sure that they don't move their knees or touch the ground. They get 1 point if they do not move their knees or touch the ground while attempting to grab the ball. They can shift their weight or, unweight a knee, but they must return that knee to the original position. So walking on knees is not allowed. Item 20 is anti-gravity extension. So you're going to show them with your body in a superhero pose, and they have 30 seconds. So you start timing when they assume the position correctly. You would stop timing if they reached the 30 seconds, if their knees were flexed, if they flexed their knees, or if their thighs, upper trunk, or extremities touched the ground. This is a demonstration of what that would look like. Item 21, anti-gravity flexion. So you would start timing as soon as they got into the right position, and you would stop timing either when they reached the 60 seconds, they grabbed their knees instead of holding it at their chest, or their head, their shoulders, or their feet touched the floor. And this is what this would look like. Items 22 to 24 are ocular movements. The first 2 items within this item set, you're having the examinee move their head, but the target pencil is stable, and you're watching to make sure that they can maintain visual contact. So some ways you might see this are incorrectly. Item 24 is a little bit different than the first 2 involving ocular movements. This one, they're moving their eyes and tracking the target, eyes only, so their head is remaining stable and in midline. What you're going to do is you're going to track this way, and you're going to watch their eyes. So some ways that you could potentially see this as incorrect. Item 25 is slow ramp movements. So you're going to be seated right in front of the examinee, and your shoulders are going to be at 90 degrees abduction, your elbows extended, your forearms supinated, wrists neutral, and fingers extended. I am hyperextensive. I'm sorry if that is happening right now. So basically, this is a 10-second sequence. So you start extended and you're watching to see how quickly they pick up on your movements and do their own movements. So look at my left side and my right side. This is going to be the therapist and this is going to be the examinee. If we move at the same exact time, you would check less than 1 second. But if I, as the therapist, started moving and then I started moving, that would be 1 to 3 seconds. Items 26 and 27 are sequential finger touching. So you're going to set the stopwatch to 5 seconds, and you're going to start your hand out like this and demonstrate that this is the way it needs to be done. You're going to make sure to point out that you only touch your pinky and index finger only once. So something you would stop counting is when an examinee misses a finger, such as, so in this example, I went 1 touch, 2 touch, 3 touch, but this is incorrect. So I had 2 correct touches. That's what I put in my score sheet. Or an examinee could touch a finger twice, such as, so in this case, I did 1 touch, 2 touch, 3 touch, 4 touch, 5 touch. This is the one that's incorrect, so that you would write in your score sheet 4 touches. So items 28 through 30 will each be administered 2 times. So this is again a 5-second countdown. Start the timing as soon as they start the sequence. So the sequence begins when they first tap their thigh. Then you start counting when they return to that tap on the thigh. Okay, so some ways that they could get this wrong is if they miss hitting the thigh. If the sequence is disrupted. Or when you reach item 30, it's with both hands. So if the hands are not simultaneous or they're tapping at a different rate, or you reach the 5 seconds. Something to watch out for is the chicken winging. So you want your arms to be close to your body, and it's this movement, not this movement. Items 31 and 32 are projection actions in time and space. Item 31 is ball in air. So what you're doing is you're throwing the ball, clapping, the maximum is 3 claps, and then catching the ball. To score correctly, they have to catch the ball. If they drop the ball, regardless of the amount of claps that they did, you would mark it as a 0. So that would be something correct. Would not. Or that. Those would all be incorrect. Item 32 is ball against the wall. So you're going to be 9 feet away from a target that's at eye level, and you're going to demonstrate throwing it underhand, hitting the target, and it coming back and you catching it. So in order to get a point, it's for each successful attempt to catch the ball on the way back after hitting the wall before it bounces. So if it bounces when it comes back, you do not get a point. Thank you so much for listening. That concludes all of the items in the SOSI M and the cop bar. I hope that this was useful and you got some visual demonstrations along with what's located within the manual. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. I am more than happy to help at any point in time. Thank you.